Zoomunity Q&A for June. I'm Chef AJ, and this is where I answer your questions live. The best way to get a question answered is to please submit it through our website. I put the link in the chat box just because what I see is different than what you see, because I'm broadcasting to 5 places, not just the one platform you're watching on, and my feed goes really fast. So I am going to be going live for about 45 minutes today. Sometimes I do 90, and a lot of you say that's way too long, but actually on Tuesdays I have to teach a class. I was supposed to have a live guest today, and unfortunately something happened, so we'll be rescheduling him. And as it stood, I didn't have a Q&A scheduled for this month, so I will take the opportunity to do this. Okay, excuse me. So question from Angela. Is eating corn tortillas every day that are made out of only corn and water bad? So a good, better, best. And I don't like to think of foods as good or bad, because then what happens is you start thinking of yourself as good or bad. Hi, Dina. And I think of foods as compliant or not compliant. And what compliant means, following a prescribed course of action. So if you're on a particular way of eating and you don't follow that, you're just not compliant. That doesn't feel as bad as saying I'm bad because I ate bad food. So I look at foods as good, better, best. And a corn tortilla is good compared to, say, Fritos, but it's maybe not best compared to eating the whole corn, which is 500 calories a pound. So again, it really depends what your goals are, because if eating corn tortilla every day is going to keep you out of the Fritos and the Doritos, it's great. But if it's keeping your weight stuck at a plateau, if your goal is to lose weight, or if it's keeping you in the pleasure trap because you don't like that feeling of not being able to stop eating something, then maybe for you it's not an optimal food. So I would say, when in doubt, leave it out. Realize that I teach the principles of caloric density. Corn is 500 calories per pound. It's very hard to overeat on corn. We had corn for dinner last night. Actually, it's going to be the next recipe, or the next 2 recipes I do on my Weight Loss Wednesday. Thank you, Linda, and I'm glad you guys like my shirt. And we did like Mexican street corn with the cheese sauce, and I could only eat 2 pieces. Corn is so filling in its whole food form because it's got the water, fiber, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and micronutrients. Even if it's just corn and water, because of the processing, you take something that was now 500 calories per pound, and it becomes 1,100 calories per pound. So again, if crackers are about 1,800 calories a pound. So, the replay with Dr. Lyle is up, guys. There was a glitch with the sound. I don't know if you remember, he was saying his neighbor was making noise. And so I think what Zoom does now, because I've noticed this on the cooking demos, is when somebody turns on a blender, it goes quiet. So there was parts of the broadcast in the replay that we couldn't hear. So my husband edited it, and anyway, it's up now. It's the first thing on the YouTube page, and it's very good, by the way, if you haven't seen it. So back to the corn. So again, if you're following the principles of caloric density, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to manage food addictions, if eating corn tortillas every day isn't affecting your weight or causing cravings, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just eating foods in its most unprocessed, the wholest food form way possible is going to be best for people that are suffering with food cravings, trying to manage food addictions, and trying to lose weight. I mean, actually, yeah, Lola says the corn right now is fantastic, like eating candy. It's amazing. Costco has some delicious sweet corn. And again, eating corn tortilla every day is better than eating candy corn. So again, the answer to almost every question is going to depend, what are your goals? How is it affecting you? And again, it's not bad. It's just maybe for you, not optimal. But again, for somebody that's eating, like I said, a bag of Doritos every day, eating corn tortillas is a great step. Maria says, what spice is a good substitute for the taste of ham? My grandma used to put chunks of ham in her white beans. I would love to make those again without ham. I don't know. I was raised Orthodox Jewish and ate ham, so I don't know what those spices are. But what I would recommend you do, Maria, is to call up Nick Devoren at Local Spicery. What I love so much about the small vendors that I expose you guys to, like Thomas from California Balsamics, or Corey from Holland Bowl Mill, or Nick from Local Spicery, is these aren't big companies, and they actually answer their phones. Sure, you can come live with me, Cynthia. It's going to be very expensive, though. So anyway, again, I apologize if I can't get to your question live. It goes too fast. You're going to have to send them in. It's the only way I can manage this now with the popularity of this show, because somebody said, how much fruits and vegetables do I eat a day to lose weight? Chapter 2 of my book will answer that really well for you, because that question is now disappeared, and I've got to give priority to the people that sent them in. But anyway, he will answer his phone, and he's trying to create an SOS-free or sugar, oil, salt-free bacon seasoning. And so he might know. I don't know because I never ate ham. I never cooked ham. So, but he would, and he will answer his phone. So I really recommend that you call him. And I like, again, I don't know what spices ham is. I mean, to me, like the meats that come from pork are generally high in fat, and usually they have sugar and salt. So maybe it's the smokiness you like if they use that. See, I just don't know. How do we get on the mailing list? Let me do that right now because I can post a link. And here you go. And truthfully, you don't even have to be on the mailing list to email us because you just go to contact us. There you go, right there. Okay, so sorry I couldn't help with that one. But hopefully it's coming because I did talk to him on the phone, and he's really working on creating a bacon flavor or bacon seasoning without that. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. I love you too. Rachel says, I'm looking for an almond milk that is very clean. I know that making my own is the best way to go, but when that is not an option, is there a brand of unsweetened almond milk that you recommend that's the cleanest? Sure. I'm probably not going to get all the companies in because I don't know them, but when I say all the stores I shop at, I can't vouch for everyone everywhere, but I shop at Whole Foods, Sprouts, Trader Joe's mostly, and sometimes the local Winco. And I have seen this product in those 4 stores. Believe it or not, I've seen it at the 99-cent store in Walmart too. They have companies like Three Trees, Elmhurst, even a Trader Joe brand that's literally just the water and the whatever, meaning the water and the oat, the water and the nut. And so those would be the cleanest ones. Also, for some reason, when it's just the water and the nut, it tends to be a lot higher in fat than the ones in the box. Now, I haven't seen, like, when I say a regular brand, I mean like a So Delicious or a, what's it called? The Blue Diamond, or the Costco brand that doesn't have something in it, and it's usually just salt. Almond milk tends to be the lowest in calories. It's 30 calories per cup compared to, let's say you do soy or hemp milk, which could be 110, 140. So some people like it for that reason. If you don't have an allergy to nuts, it's a very tasty milk to most people. You see, the thing is, I don't recommend people using milk as a beverage. It's more like a splash here and there. Yes, I do use several cups in many of my cream soups, like the cauliflower bisque or things like that. But you don't have to. It does create just that richness. For people that can do the coconut milk, they have some brands that are just the water and the coconut, just like people that can do the soy milk, just the soy and the water. They tend to be higher in fat and higher in calories, though. One of the things you can do is that, Maxine's saying cashew milk is 25 calories per cup. They're all different. What you can do for creaminess is, if you don't want to even have the milk, you could just throw in like some oats in those cream soups, like maybe a half a cup, and that does that with the extra water, does that little mouthfeel thing that people like. Yeah, Nikki says soy milk from Trader Joe's is just soy and water, and that's great. I'm allergic to soy. That's why I can't do soy milk, but I know soy milk is very, very clean. You can buy, and you can do this online at Amazon, and I've seen these at Whole Foods, these little packages of almond butter. They're raw, they're unsalted, there's no sugar or oil, and they have about 2 tablespoons in the packet. And you can actually just take that with 1 to 4 cups of water, depending on how rich you want it, and you can make it that way. And that way, especially if having nut butters in your house is a trigger food for you, it's really a great way to do that. So the brands I recommend that are the cleanest: Elmhurst, Three Trees. There's a Trader Joe's one. So those would be the cleanest because it's just nuts and water. And they're doing them now with just, like I said, soy and water, just coconut and water, just oats and water. I haven't seen a rice milk that's just rice and water. But by the way, you can make a non-dairy milk out of anything. Literally, you can make it out of brown rice, whether it's cooked or raw. You can make it out of oats. So, and it's actually a lot cheaper that way too. And then there's some machine that people are using now to do it that looks great. I've been right in contact with the company to give me, not to give me one, or just to give me some. What I like to do is I like to have codes for my viewers to get a discount, but it's sometimes very hard to get people to answer you. And I know that because I got 2,700 emails in my inbox and I can't answer most people right now. So Antonia says, other than getting off dairy as soon as possible, what other advice would you give to someone who wants to be plant-based but just doesn't know where to start? I would probably ask them to look at pcrm.org and do what's called a 21-day kickstart. I don't know if it's something that runs all the time, but something where they could just do a time limited experiment to just incorporate more fruits and vegetables, or just do that in their life, eat more fruits and vegetables. I think that somebody to start, again, I sometimes need more information, because is the person that's just trying to start 60 years old on insulin, or are they in high school? You've got to find out what people care about. And so usually it's one of three things that makes people eat a healthier diet. It's either their own health, which is often compromised. Most people don't do this proactively, although there are some, like my husband. There are a few people like Sharon McRae that did this to prevent disease, but most people wait until they're quite overweight or quite sick with a diagnosis of often things very serious like cancer or autoimmune disease, heart disease, diabetes, to change their diet. So that would be their motivation. Some people like myself did it at a very young age out of love for animals, and there are more people nowadays doing it because of the environment. So when you find out why they want to change their diet, then you can refer them. If they're doing it just for their health, which is a fine reason, forks over knives, eating you alive, what the health. If they're doing it because of love for the environment, cowspiracy. If they're doing it because of compassion for animals, earthlings, right? So if they're doing it if they're an athlete trying to improve their performance, game changers. So I would, thanks, Daryl. I would encourage them to maybe watch one of these documentaries, which, if you have Netflix, it's free, but a lot of them are on YouTube for free. And so that's probably where I'd start. But, I don't think it's as important to where you start as it is that you do start. And so again, that's why these are general questions, which I understand, because otherwise I'd have to take like an hour to answer each of them like I would in a private consult. But dairy, I agree, would be the most important thing. And the funny thing is so many people are vegetarian for ethical reasons, not realizing that in the health arena, it's probably the worst thing of all the animal products you can eat. It's both a highly processed food, and it's also an animal product, but it's also probably the least compassionate. So no dairy, more fruits and vegetables. Pick a documentary to watch. If you like to read, I can recommend lots of books, but I think it's sometimes just easier to watch an 87-minute movie like Forks Over Knives, or, if you like podcasts, listen to a podcast. But again, the more information you give me when you ask the question, the deeper I can dive into answering it. Miranda says, I grew up eating white rice and beans every day. It's hard for me to switch to brown rice or wild rice. Is there a rice that resembles white rice that would be okay? So again, I eat white rice. I love white rice. Okay. So call the arsenic police on me. I love white rice. I have a lot of, I worked when I was worked at a retirement home. It was in Pasadena, largely Asian population. They ate white rice. They were elderly. They were slender. They were healthy. It's not going to work for everybody. For some people, grains don't work at all. Like they just are triggered by them. They overeat, and that's okay. You don't have to eat any one particular food, but you have to eat some starch. Actually, some people don't even, but if grains don't work for you, eat potatoes. If potatoes don't work for you, eat legumes. If legumes don't work for you, eat sweet potatoes, eat winter squashes. There's always going to be some starch to eat. I love white rice. So what I do, because it's a guilty pleasure, and I always make the excuse, well, I'm out, that's all they had. But the truth is when I'm home, it's not all I have, and I still want to eat it. What I do is kind of make a little bit of a blend. And I don't know if my husband's watching this because he doesn't know that I do this. But what I do is, because he really likes brown rice better, just because he does. And so I use a rice cooker, because to me it's the easiest. As much as I love my Instant Pot, and I have 4 of them, I don't like to have to memorize the ratios. So with the rice cooker, you fill the cup up, however many cups is that line. So what I do is I make a blend, and I take half of it. So let's say I'm doing 2 cups of that little plastic cup. It's not measuring cups. It's the cup that comes with it. I do 1 cup of a brown basmati, and that takes over the color of it. So he doesn't know that the other cup is half wild rice and half white rice. So I get to have my little guilty pleasure, and he thinks he's eating brown rice. So what you can do is you can titrate. But again, unless, and I was going to say, well, unless you have a disease, but think about it, guys. Walter Kempner, Google him, reverse type 2 diabetes, giving his patients nothing but white rice, fruit, and sugar. Again, like Rita saying, grains don't fill me up. You don't have to eat them. But in Miranda's case, she grew up eating it. She loves it. So eat it if it's not causing you any harm. I love it. I love it very much. And I eat it every chance I get. It's my favorite. So, people shouldn't be bashed for eating whole unprocessed starches. Well, I guess it's less whole, but it's titrate it. And if it's hard for you to eat brown rice or wild rice, don't eat them. There's other grains. There's millet, there's teff, there's sorghum, there's amaranth, there's buckwheat. There's a lot of grains out there, guys. We don't have to be these one grain ponies. So you can do that. Also, sometimes the preparation, and you can get used to other tastes, especially if you are going to titrate it and put a little bit of wild rice in and a little bit of the brown rice in. Also, I find with brown rice, they're not all the same. Like the short grain or the medium grain, a lot of brown rices I don't like, but if it's basmati or especially organic Texmati, it's got this really nutty flavor. Thank you, Shane. I'm teaching a class right after this, so I'm going to have to get off a little bit before noon. Wow, Poland, that's far. So anyway, that's what I would do. But if your health is good, if your weight is good, and even, again, I'm not saying to stop eating white rice if your weight isn't good, because look at the results Walter Kempner got, they do at the Duke University. I had a brother who was morbidly obese, and he went on the Kempner diet. So what brand of rice cooker do I prefer? If I hear the Zuriachi is the best, but I have the $29 Aromi from Costco and it works great. Yeah, Jessica's saying forbidden rice has a good flavor. There's red rice. So again, just eat the white rice, but just make sure you're eating it with lots of vegetables. That's probably more important than anything else. So I would consider white rice a whole grain. So, I know it's stripped of some things and polished, but it's very good. Yeah, I don't worry about the arsenic in rice. I try to buy Lundberg, which is the one Dr. Goldhammer says you can soak it, and again, listen, not every one food is going to work for every person, but people shouldn't be bashed because they like a whole natural food or because they can't eat a whole natural food, right? All right. So, Shauna says, thank you for all you do. You're welcome. And I get this question a lot. Is your dog Bailey a vegan? What do I feed her? And again, so the other thing is if you haven't tried the Feel Fabulous group, I'm going to put a link to it only because one of the things that my partner Toby created was something called a knowledge vault, where he's taken over 100 hours of videos. And so, for example, the question on white rice, if you were in the group, which you can try for 2 weeks for free, and we're going to July 1st do a 14-day kick sugar challenge. It's unbelievable. I saw the videos today he made, but you can look anything up 24 hours a day and get an answer, boom, like that. But Bailey is not vegan. She's almost 9 years old. We adopted her at 4, and then we couldn't, we had a very difficult time trying to get her to eat vegan because just like kids, her tastes were set. So we give her as little meat as possible, which is the equivalent of 3 ounces a day, divided into 2 meals of just plain chicken. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't like it, but I also, when you have a 14-pound dog that doesn't eat for 3 days, because she will not eat if there's not just the smallest amount, but most of her diet is whole vegetables. Like she cooks carrots, she eats brown rice, organic, of course, she eats sweet potatoes. So and she eats the V-Dog as her kibble and her biscuits, but she does have that little bit of flavor. Oh, Jessica's saying Feel Fabulous is a very worthwhile group. Thank you. Yes, and we have weekly meetings where I do these live every week, or we have great guests like Dr. Lyle. Yeah. So anyway, that's the situation. And I think the only way I'm ever going to have a 100% vegan dog is if I get one as a puppy, but then I'm not saving a life and getting an adult dog. So Maria says, I would like advice on how to select good potatoes at the store. I've had bad experiences with JSP, in particular being dry and mealing after. I don't know, because I'm so lucky. The first thing that comes to my head, I'm sorry, it's Marta. I gotta wear glasses, guys. I'll get over that and just wear them all the time. The only time I've ever had a bad potato is, and again, the company in Hawaii is great, but every now and then those Hawaiian ones have been dry. I'm guessing that maybe they're old. I shop at stores where there's a big turnover. So like, Trader Joe's, I buy the Murasakis every week. They're almost always sold out of it. So I'm wondering if it's not that it's you're cooking them wrong. I think it maybe is the is how old they are, because maybe I would ask you, when are they good, where are you getting them, how fresh they are, and you can bring stuff back to stores, if it's that. So yeah. Anyway, I guess I'm still stuck in March. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. But you know, after roasting, if they're dry after roasting, then try a wet cooking method. Try, when I think about it, Sharon McRae always steams her JSPs in the Instant Pot, and they're always very, very moist. So maybe it's your oven. Maybe your oven isn't calibrated right. You think you're roasting at 400, your oven's at 450. Get an oven thermometer. But so the first thing I would look at is that maybe how old they are, because if they're good sometimes, where are you getting them there? How long are you storing them before cooking them? Or maybe try a wet cooking method. But I'm sorry that's happening to you, because there's nothing worse than a not delicious potato. Okay. Shauna says, I would love to know what Chef AJ would get to aid in making a big chopped salad on a tight budget. Oh yeah. Okay. I understand her question, because the Holland bowls are probably like $100. And so listen, I got to tell you, before I even heard a Holland bowl, I was using my Tupperware bowl. And I know you're not supposed to use your ulu on that and do it on plastic, but I did it. Listen, I'm the kind of person that doesn't read the book that comes with stuff. So I don't follow the rules because I didn't know the rules. So you can get an ulu for $20. I believe it's ulufactory.com. I'll see if I can put that in my Amazon store. Mezzaloon, I don't know how much. I've seen mezzaloons. I don't know if Bed Bath & Beyond is even open now or if it's still available online, but I have seen mezzaloons as cheap as $7.99. I have seen these scissors. The truth is, you could buy a pair of scissors at the 99-cent store and use them. You don't want the pair that was in the drawer that you used when I cut Bailey's beard when she's, you know what I'm saying. So, you're welcome, Anna Maria. So you can go as cheaply as 99 cents or as expensive as $20. It's a little easier when you have the better tools, but absolutely you can do that. And I've seen Tupperware have the chopping scissors. I've seen Pampered Chef. I've seen things on Amazon, like the little roller thing. So you can totally do that. The great thing about chopping salad is if I don't chop a salad, I don't eat a salad, because it's too much chewing. It's too big in my mouth. And it's just, I think it's more tasty when it's chopped because everything's fully incorporated and delicious. That's probably why they charge $4 more in the restaurant to chop it. It's a lot of work though. I was doing it yesterday and it was like, my God, it's like hard. So I make Charles do it. Gina's saying she uses her food processor. Absolutely. Great suggestion. Again, make sure it's dry or else you'll end up with pesto. So those are all viable options. And also, listen, when my thumb is in a cast or a brace, when I have the trigger thumb, I buy, people get so mad at me on YouTube because I did a recipe of coleslaw and so they unsubscribe because I had shredded carrots, but that's easier too. It's pretty much chopped, and I do reuse the bags for poop bags for Bailey, or I store things in them. And so anyway, yeah, Antonia's saying the air fryer says oil. I've never put oil in the air fryer. I've never put oil or salt or anything in the pressure cooker. You don't need it. You don't need it. Okay, and yeah, Gina's saying process the ingredients separately or put in a bowl. The other thing you can do, and I heard about this from a lady when I was speaking in Dallas, and they had jar parties. And so what they would do is, she was part of a meetup group. I mean, now sheltering, it's going to be different, but back in the day, they would get together. I don't know if it was once a week or twice a month, but those jars that you can make the layered salads in, they would come together just like a Christmas cookie swap, and instead of everybody making a different cookie, everybody would literally bring one thing. So maybe somebody had to dice the onions, somebody had to chop the tomatoes, somebody brought corn. And so everybody would bring a bunch of stuff, if there was 20 people, and then they would make their salad jars for a week. So that's an idea too. Maria says, is 3 tablespoons of your barefoot dressing too much? No, it's not. And, I don't measure my dressing, but I guess I don't know how much I use. I mean, I use the lemon poppy seed. That's my favorite now. It's 11 calories per tablespoon. I'll be doing a video with the exact measurements. Right now on YouTube, I show you how to make it, but I don't give you the measurements because it was a teaser for the book. But I'll be doing one with the exact measurements soon because the book is coming out. I tend to be a light dressing person because my mom was a light dressing person. And I find if you toss your salads, you'll need a lot less dressing. But no, it's not a lot. There's no fat in there. There's no oil in there. There's no salt. So, knock yourself out. When you're using the balsamic vinegars, I'm not saying it's too much. It's just that they're expensive. And so I try to use as little as I can and maybe cut the high end balsamics with some lemon juice or lime juice, just because they are a little bit more costly and they are a little bit more caloric. But again, anything that's going to get you to eat more vegetables is a good thing. All right. So thank you for your kind comment. Sometimes your name shows up as Facebook user. That's why I don't say your name when it does that. Okay. Monica, what kind of tray or pan do you recommend for roasting vegetables? An aluminum tray like a cookie sheet, a special roasting pan with a higher rim, or something else? Does parchment paper, silver paper work for vegetables? So they all work. And so I love my Breville air fryer. And when I got this new house, I got double ovens put in. I don't think I've ever used them. It's been a year and a half. The Breville does everything. It preheats quicker. It doesn't heat up the house. And so what I do is there's just the regular tray that comes with the Breville. It's not even a tray. It's like a, with the, it's not a tray. What's it called? It's got the lines, a grid. Okay. So what I do is I do use a Silpat, and the Silpat works great. And I've had Silpats for years. Silpat is the brand name. They're more expensive, like at Williams Sonoma or Sur La Table, but Costco has the knockoff brand of a silicone baking sheet. So those work great. You have to clean them. Parchment paper works really good too. It's very easy to clean up because you just throw it away. But, I sometimes consider the environment. If I'm roasting something that's really going to be wet and mushy, like maybe the balsamic Dijon glazed Brussels sprouts, I might use a piece of parchment paper because I'm too lazy to clean it. But if I'm doing just something like, I don't know, like Brussels sprouts without, for example, Brussels sprouts that aren't going to be marinated, it's very easy to do in the Silpa. Did I move away from LA? Yes, thankfully a year and a half ago. Thank goodness with what's going on. So Rita says, what vegetables are easy to digest? Probably the fruity vegetables, things like zucchini, eggplant, tomato, bell pepper, cucumber, and okra, the ones that are actually fruits. The cruciferous will be higher. Hey, Louise. Okay. The color is my complexion. People say red's my color, but purple's my favorite color. So yeah, does Silpat work better than parchment paper? I think that if something is going to stick, it's probably more likely to stick to parchment paper than it is to Silpat. That's what I got to say there. Okay. Monica says, are there any new deals or promotions for your favorite vinegars and spice products? No. So what I'm going to do is I have such a long to-do list, and this is my hobby or my volunteer job, the live broadcast. I've got like real jobs, and doing another summit based on GI health. And we'll see if I can get vendors for that one. I don't know if it's as crucial as it is for the weight loss summit. Jill says, can you Silpat to roast sweet potatoes? Sure you can, and I do. Easy to clean. So the one with, in my Amazon store, I have the products that I get on Amazon. So I got to figure out if there's a way I can just put it on my website so you can see the promotions. But basically the two Instant Pot, it's $10 off. That's always been the case with code AJ. Benson's Table Tasty, 10% off with code AJ. And then the other two companies are the Local Spicery and California Balsamic. Instead of giving you a discount in terms of lowering the price, they give you 2 free samples so you can try new flavors. So so right now there's nothing else going on, but I know that Thomas is supposed to be coming on the show as a surprise guest. I thought it was today. I hope not, because I haven't heard from him, and doing some cooking with his vinegars. And I think there's going to be a special promotion. So again, if you sign up to be on my website, I can't always remember to say, oops, I just put the wrong link. That was Feel Fabulous. Sorry. When we know something, we tell you, and we try not to bother you too much. I mean, I know we've been sending a lot more emails to tell people about the guests, but now that it's a regular time, we're not doing that quite as much. Angela says, you're my hero. Thank you. What could I use as a substitute for flour? Yeah, I don't know any substitute in flour. I don't. I don't. That's not going to happen. But you can, make the sweet potato toast and that kind of thing. So, yeah, always try to use the code AJ and everything, and maybe it could work. Can silicone pads be used in the Breville air fryer? I don't use the silicone when I'm air frying. I'm using it when I'm using it as an oven and roasting. So I know there's probably some people that do. There's a couple of air fryer groups you can join for free on Facebook. One is Fat-Free Vegan Air Fryer, and one is JL Fields. So those kind of specific questions might be answered there. No, I don't use seitan because I can't have gluten or wheat, and basically I don't eat processed food. But probably better than eating meat. You're welcome for the information. Cindy says, the Breville Smart Oven says not to air fry. Again, this question, mirror art imitates life, or whatever that means. Breville air fryer says not to air fry foods that will drip. Many vegetables do drip. Do you line the air fried baskets with a silicone baking mat? So I don't, but I have to clean it. So there's like a drip tray, and I'm sure some people probably line it. I just don't. It drips. I clean it. And I've had it now for I don't know how many years, and so far it's still going strong. What is the difference between Fab 40 and Ultimate Weight Loss? So Feel Fabulous Over 40 is a membership. Doing it wrong every time. It's Ultimate Weight Loss. Okay, by the way, just so you know, I'm not on Facebook for anybody anymore, and barely on as myself, even, posting a few videos here and there or a picture. So Ultimate Weight Loss, it has a Facebook group, but the way the content is delivered is through some videos and audios that were created at a live Ultimate Weight Loss conference, and then it is peer supported. Oh, Gina says Nutmeg Notebook has something on her website about a mesh thing, so definitely check that out. And Feel Fabulous is a community where I do this every single week from 5 to 6 Pacific time. I go live, not just by myself, but I bring in experts like Dr. Doug Lyle. I've had Dr. McDougall. I've had Dr. Goldhammer several times where you can answer them questions. And because it's not going out to the internet, they can be more, maybe, I don't know if the word is direct or more personal, like they'll answer things in a more deep way because they know it's not going out on YouTube. So it has a knowledge vault. It has a meal planner tool. That's why you really just have to try it for 2 weeks for free to see, and then you can decide if it's for you. But if you're going to join, definitely join around July 1st because we're doing a 2-week sugar challenge. Okay, you're welcome about Local Spicery. And these are good people too, and I really like to support small businesses when I can. So yeah, so I just clean it, but apparently Tammy knows something that she uses, and that might work too. Thoughts on cornstarch, depending on how much you use. If you're not sensitive to things like flours, if you're not a severe food addict, it's probably okay. But the people that teach, end-stage food addiction would not recommend anything like a flour or cornstarch, that kind of thing. Cindy says, when I boil kale, it leaves a residue on the pan. Do you know that? I did not know that. I've never boiled kale. I've cooked it in a pan. I've cooked it in an air fryer. Any tip or hack for making it easier to clean? Yeah, that's weird. I don't, again, sorry, I'm sure I'm going to have a chef back on soon, like Bravo or Eric, or actually I'm going to be having another chef, Eric, on from Millennium Restaurant. I have never heard that. I don't know what causes that. This might be something. Have you tried to Google it and see what it said? But maybe cook it in a different way. Why? I don't know why you're boiling it. To me, that would not taste too good. I cook it in the internet. I cook it in the internet. I cook it in the air fryer, and it doesn't do that. So, yeah. Jessica says, Feel Fabulous is worth it just for the weekly meetings. It's better than Weight Watchers. It is. It has a connection that's deeper and better than just me being on Facebook and just like typing an answer. Silpat for baked fries as well. Absolutely, I do that as well. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I could Google it, but if I jump screens, I always risk losing you guys, or at least losing the chat. Okay, Emma says, nuts and nut milk are a trigger for me. Any ideas on replacements for nut milks in recipes, mainly for creamy soups like cauliflower bisque or baked goods? I've been using broth water. Yeah, tomatoes, aquafaba, or banana milk. Well, these are all great suggestions. If you were doing a savory soup, banana milk probably wouldn't be the best choice. But again, as I said earlier, for the question about plant milk, put in some oats. Just put in oats and water. And assuming if dry oats are a trigger for you, then that could be a problem too. But or something that's going to give thickness and creaminess, cauliflower, beans, white beans. I mean, cooked potato. So that's what I would use. And so for me, as luck would have it, the milks are 4 cups in a box, and so it goes right in the soup. Yeah. Do I ever make vegan cheese? I have, but because I don't eat nuts, most of them are made out of nuts. I made a vegan cheese sauce last night. There's a great recipe in my book. I made the nacho cheese sauce. We put it on corn, and but I did in culinary school. We made a lot of cheeses in the front of it. Yeah, but it's too labor intensive for me. I like things simple. Linda B says, do you have any recommendations for hypothyroidism in your eating plan? Losing weight is very hard, even though I'm at the process of beginning to lose 70 pounds. So, I was hypothyroid when I lost all my weight. I did not start medicating until maybe a year after I lost the weight, mainly because of vanity reasons. I had developed what's called lanugo where I grew like a blonde beard. And so I didn't want to be on medicine. I was still able to lose 47 pounds being very hypothyroid. It just took me longer. It took me about 27 months. So yeah, that's, so I'd make sure you have a good doctor or endocrinologist. If you don't have one, there's great plant-based doctors you can find at plantbaseddocs.org. All the doctors at True North, the medical doctors, can do consults. But you want to make sure your thyroid is under control, meaning if you are taking medicine that you're on the right dose. It does not mean you cannot lose weight if you're hypothyroid, if you're menopausal, if you're older. I've had clients in their 90s. It just means it may be harder and you have to be more diligent. And like the opening question about corn tortillas, are they bad? No, they're not bad. They're just more than twice as calorically dense as corn. So you may have to eat lower on the calorie density scale and eat more fruits, vegetables, and salads than potatoes, rice, and beans, but it's not impossible. Missy, where can we catch your stand-up or improv? So the improv isn't, we're not performing it. Improv has been more of a challenge doing it through virtually than stand-up. And so the teacher's not putting any of the performances online. We're just doing it as a class. And if we ever open up again, then I'll go back to performing it live where I was doing it before in Coachella Valley at the Coachella Valley Rep. I only actually got to do one show and then everything stopped. So the stand-up, it didn't translate as good as I would have hoped. And I mean, the act was good, but because there's a delay with Zoom, you know, when you do stand-up comedy in a club, you say a joke, you know immediately if it was well received or not. They're either going to laugh or not laugh. With Zoom, there's this delay. So you tell a joke, and then the laugh comes later. So it's a much harder way to deliver comedy. The teacher that I study with is working on controlling Zoom better so that it doesn't work that way. In other words, a lot of people that could have been laughing were muted, and a lot of people that weren't muted were doing the dishes and watching TV and things like that. So I haven't decided if I'm going to put this last one on YouTube, only because it's a great set in terms of writing, but performance-wise, it's not. You do need it's sort of like if you ever go to a comedy, like you're the only one in the theater or you and a friend, you kind of almost don't know when to laugh if other people are laughing. So yeah, I can look at this chat, whatever's left of it, and see if I can find that almond oil mix. So sorry about that, Missy. It was live. We had about 100 of you guys watching, so thank you. Tell us about my new book. I get 2 new books. One is delayed a lot. It's called Date with Dessert. It's an updated version of the ebook with more recipes and fixing any errors, and it's going to be a hold in your handbook. But Glenn Mercer, who helped me write my first 2 books on processing the secrets to ultimate weight loss, he also co-wrote The Mad Cowboy with Howard Lyman. He's writing a book on taking control of your health destiny called Own Your Health. And he asked me to write recipes. So I'll be contributing 75 recipes, and there'll probably be an additional 35 recipes from people you know and love, like Healthy Cooking with Shada, Nutmeg Notebook, Butterfly Effect, Get 2D Root. That'll be good. So it'll be over 100 recipes all the way that I recommend to eat, and actually delicious. So the new cookbook will I talked to Glenn yesterday. We think the fall, so that'd be good. All right. Here's a question from Anonymous. I'm not doing well on the plan. I had a lot of hope for it, but even on a good day, I turn around and have a bad day, eating something I should not be eating. I can't afford to go to True North. I have a disability, so it's not a good option. I have read more than once all of the books you're about to mention. I have just recently become very bored with kale. Now I only know one way to cook kale. Onions and mushrooms, like in the video. I don't have non-compliant food in the house. I tend to make a special trip when something enters my brain and says, you have to have this. I know that's the pleasure trap talk, but what am I to do? The feeling will be there for days. What do you do when you fall off the program besides eat some more kale? I'm tired of this 40-year merry-go-round. I'm 65. Well, sorry that you're having difficulties. This is not just you. This is the majority of the people. And I would say that's not just the pleasure trap you're experiencing, but you're experiencing what's called the Cram Circuit. And there are wonderful free videos on YouTube in general and my YouTube page specifically with Dr. Doug Lisle talking about this phenomenon of the Cram Circuit, where you get these cravings, especially the same time every day, usually in the evening. As far as if you only know one way, okay, I'm going to look at this in 2 ways. If you only know one way to cook it and you're bored with that way, there's so many ways to cook it. You can make kale chips. I make the greatest kale chips with the nacho cheese sauce on page 224 in my book. They are delicious. My husband, who doesn't even like nacho cheese sauce, likes the kale chips that are made with this. You can make the Mediterranean kale free on YouTube, that recipe, delicious. There's many ways. Or you could not eat kale. There are so many other greens other than kale, beet greens, for example, which are very sweet, that you can have, as well as eating spinach, eating mustard greens, eating turnip greens, eating carrot greens, eating arugula, eating bok choy, eating Brussels sprouts glazed in balsamic vinegar and mustard. So there is a way you can cook them differently so that you don't get bored. But my biggest problem is the use of the word bored, because if you're bored with eating something, that means you're looking to use food to excite you. And that's not what food was intended for. Food is for sustenance. And yes, it can be very pleasurable, and it's supposed to be. But if you've been spending 40 years stuck in the pleasure trap eating hyper-palatable foods, you're not going to overnight become a kale lover. And if you look at kale the way I do, or vegetables in general, or the vegetables for breakfast or greens, is I'm not looking for them to be excited or to gain pleasure. I'm looking at them as medication. I'm looking at them because of these compounds they contain called thylakoids, which I know are going to stop all my cravings for sugar later in the day. It's going to turn off my hunger switch. It's going to give me nice skin. It's going to give me protection against all kinds of diseases like heart disease and Alzheimer's. So I'm not looking at my morning vegetables, whether it's kale or steamed Brussels sprouts or whatever, is like, oh my God, this is so boring. I'm looking at this, wow, this medicine is going to keep me healthy and trim and without Alzheimer's and without heart disease. So again, I think maybe if you can reframe it, and again, you don't have to like it, you just have to do it. And I mean, if you're a grown up, it's like, I don't like exercising every day for an hour. Today I only did 45 minutes, but I know the consequences of not doing it. And the thing is use the vegetables as like the treat to get to the starch. You know, you don't have to like it. You just have to eat it, and then eat something really delicious afterwards. Eat a baked potato, eat a roasted sweet potato, eat an air fried sweet potato. So, you know, if I was Goldhammer and answering this question, I would just tell you what he'd say is suck it up, buttercup. You know, but if you are, I'm not minimizing your situation, because I understand it's been a long time for me to have been in that place. I understand how hard it was at first, but every time you fall off the wagon, it doesn't make it easier to get back on the wagon. It can often make it more difficult because of that phenomenon of taste neuroadaptation. Once you get that stuff back in, it's like you want it. So you can't go to True North, but True North can come to you for as little as $75. You can have a private consultation with one of the True North doctors, like Dr. Jen Hawk or Dr. Doug Lyle. That's what I would recommend. You know, obviously, if you've had this problem for 40 years, it doesn't go away in 40 minutes, 40 days, or maybe even 40 months. It's one of those things you've just got to stick with. And every time you get knocked down, get up. I mean, I'm sorry this is so difficult. It's not your fault. It's the environment that we live in that has made this so difficult. You know, for me, just being reminded of, like, do you know why you want to be healthy? Why you want to not be overweight? If you have a really strong why. I didn't like being in a wheelchair and I don't want my husband to have to wipe my butt. So you know, if you have a really strong why, sometimes that can make it easier. But you know, food addiction's a real bitch. It really is. It's really difficult. That's why, you know, if you're not in Feel Fabulous, I know you're an ultimate weight loss, consider joining that group. Get as much support as you can. The link for a $75 consult is not with True North. It's with Dr. Lyle and Dr. Hawk. And that is on their website, esteemdynamics.com. So let me now put on my glasses. So you know, it's not considered an essential service, glasses. So I can't get glasses that I would really want to wear. These are reading glasses, by the way. I don't yet qualify for other kind of glasses. Okay. So also realize, and I think I don't mean to say the same thing over and over, but especially if you join late, I see 5 times as many comments as you because I'm broadcasting the 5 platforms, so the questions don't stay. So if I miss it, it's not because I dislike you or it's a bad question, it's because it goes fast. That's why when you send them in, they stay on my phone forever and ever. So, Daphne saw me at Palm Desert. Yeah, we don't know when we'll be able to potluck again, but we've been having virtual potlucks, so make sure you're signed up for Meetup. Dr. Doug Lyle is up now again on YouTube. We fixed the sound problem. Scouts, I love that name, Scout, by the way. It reminds me of To Kill a Mockingbird. Mashed potatoes or white beans thicken makes it creamy. Exactly. Any starch, oats, that very good. thought of unsweetened coconut. Yeah, I think it's fine. You know, again, Dina, for people that can use things sparingly, I'm all for nuts and seeds and avocado. It's just that I work with people that are really like end stage food addiction, and they can't use any of the high fat stuff sparingly. So there is a great brand. I believe it's So Delicious. It's great. It's just a little high in fat, but absolutely fine. You know, again, this is where you can't paint everybody with the same brush. This is why it's an individualized thing. I mean, it's a generalized thing, whole food, plant-based, you know, no sugar, oil, salt for many people, if not most people, no processed food or very little processed food. But as far as like the high fat plant foods, things like that, even for some people, salt, if you can use it to a degree that it's not going to cause you to have cravings or overeat, I am not against that. You know, but also I'm not running True North where I have people that are on death's door either. But again, this is going to be an individual thing. But, you know, my motto is do the least restrictive program that you can do that will give you the results you seek. But when in doubt, leave it out. Should I be concerned about supplementing B12? So definitely everyone needs to take B12 if they're following a plant-based diet. There's a lot of B12 deficiency in people that aren't plant-based because we're not getting it from the soil anymore. It's not something that cows produce. They're getting it from the soil, and then people who eat cows are getting it from them. But, you know, again, nutritional yeast is one of those things that doesn't work for everybody. And I'm doing the GI summit now, and I know that especially people with GI things can get a lot of symptoms from it, especially when they have Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. Dr. Furman says we should not have a fortified one. That's what he says. The information is on drfurman.com. If you can't find a non-fortified where you live, consider using Amazon, Thrive, Market, you know, that kind of thing. Or just if you're using a fortified, maybe use as little as possible. Yes, Facebook user, that's what it's showing as your name. This is showing on YouTube as well. So it's showing 5 places at once, and you can only watch it at one place at once. So most of you are watching Facebook and YouTube. Shane loves the cauliflower and bisque. TJ's has, TJ's discontinued the green bottle one. Okay. Rainey says, bought an almond cow and it's worthless. Easier to use a high-powered blender and nut bag. Good to know. How much veg must I eat in a day to lose weight? Well, you're going to know, because when you start losing weight, that's how much for you. I had to eat 4 pounds of vegetables a day to lose weight. Actually, I was eating probably 4 to 6 pounds of non-starchy vegetables to lose weight. To maintain my weight, I'm eating about 2 to 3 pounds a day. Opinion on cocoa powder. Is it dangerous to food addicts? I would say for most people, Renee, yes, because most people are putting cocoa powder in a way, they're not putting it on their potatoes or their rice or their kale. They're making it as a dessert, and usually desserts accompany some kind of sweetener like fruit or dates. Not that fruit is a problem, but it's usually dates or some kind of high fat plant thing like nuts. So I know Dr. Goldhammer is completely against it, and he's also against carob powder because he says it's a gateway drug to the use of chocolate. So it's only dangerous if it's dangerous for you. It's very calorically dense. It's 2,500 calories a pound. It has caffeine and theobromine. You know, if somebody wanted to chew on a cacao nib, you know, again, you know, for some people it's a slippery slope. This is why people do experiments. But again, Gone with Kale saying I mix rice with cauliflower rice. That is such a great thing. I should have said that because Costco sells these big things of it. For the person that was worried about white rice, maybe put some cauliflower rice in it. It really does look and taste like it. Okay. Yeah, if you feel hungry or eating grains, that's okay. Eat a different starch. Yeah, experiment with other grains and expand your horizons. I'm telling you guys, millet is amazing. It's so good. It's like delicious. It's maybe even better than rice. And if you toast it, it's got a very nutty flavor. But yeah, jasmine rice smells good. I love rice. I love the way it makes the house smell, but my favorite starch is sweet potatoes. My skin glows on my broadcasts. It looks younger now. Yeah, so VP Pfeffer, yes, the makeup I'm wearing, because I have to wear, I don't have to. Actually, I'm going to have a dermatologist on this week, and I think I'm going to come on with nothing just to show you what my skin looks like. What I do is I do wear powder because I'm using what's called a ring light so you can see me, but I think I'm going to wear nothing on Friday. And so it's in my Amazon store. It's vegan. It's called Becca Backlight Primer. And then I have powder over that. And I do have some lip gloss on today. But thank you. And I think my skin looks better now because really I'm eating more vegetables, but also I have not had sun on my face for over a year now since I read the Riot Act by a dermatologist and a plastic surgeon here. So, okay, you're welcome, Magdalene family. What for aisle I'm doing? Yeah, Karen bought Texmati after I said it was my favorite. When I was in Texas, I filled my whole suitcase with it from the store. Okay. What about making sushi? Is that fattening? Well, I mean, it depends what you put in it. I mean, you can make the sushi out of cauliflower rice. You can make it out of rice. You can, I don't think of it as fattening, but I don't put fish in it or avocado in it. So would the rice fall in the eating order? Rice is a starch, so it would be in the 500 calorie per pound grain. Favorite ways to cook veggies is, I like them air fried. I mean, but my favorite way, well, it depends on the veggies, because if it's broccoli, I just like it steamed. If it's, I just love veggies. So if you get tired of roasted, try steaming them. Try air frying is really, for people that hate veggies, air frying might be the best way to do that. Feel Fabulous is a worthwhile group. Thank you. Yep. Yeah, JSP is an acronym for Japanese sweet potatoes, and it tastes like angel food cake. It does taste like cake. Elisa says, I've been watching my intake of fats, cut out nuts and add an oil. Non-whole food plant-based members are adamant I need more fat in my diet. Well, you can watch the video I did with Dr. Lyle on YouTube saying, must I eat nuts? And you don't need to, and especially if you have fat on your body. But no, you have to have omega-3 fatty acids, which you can get from eating lots of greens or having a tablespoon or two of flax or chia a day. The best interview was probably the one with Dr. Rick Dina, where he talked about that. That was from the Truth About Weight Loss Summit. Catherine bought a large melamine bowl at Sam's Club. Is Tupperware plastic? It is plastic, but it's BPA free, and it's been around forever, and I love it. And I've done some videos on that as well. Do all veggies have the same caloric density? No, but pretty close. We say average of 100 calories a pound. The fruity vegetables like zucchini are 67. Sugar snap peas are 125. So we say 100. Gina says if she puts lots of fruit in her salad, she doesn't even barely need dressing today. Aubrey says struggles with weight loss to stay on course, has all the tools. And then what books do you recommend to stay on course? Well, if you haven't read my book, I recommend that one. But even more than that, I recommend you try 2 weeks free and Feel Fabulous so you can get some support and maybe find an accountability partner. Okay, I'm going to have to go in a second because I'm teaching that business class. It's really fun, by the way. What do I put on my veggies when I air fry them? Nothing, honestly. They're so good. Yeah, Beat My Jeans podcast 161 is my favorite. Great podcast, by the way. If it's important to substitute with iodine, if you are not eating any iodized salt, they say yes. And I cannot, a doctor, so I cannot tell you how much if you're taking iodine tablets, but I just take a little bit of sea vegetables, and Dulce is my favorite. Difference between my two websites. Well, I only thought I had one website, Chef AJ website. I didn't, one might be an old website. So the website I use is Chef AJ website. So, I want to be buried with mine. I'm not sure what that is, so I'm going backwards. All right. So sorry this was such a quick one, but the last one was 90 minutes. A lot of people got upset. So, all right. In Vinegars are not available. What do we use instead? So Claudia, can you be more specific where you live and what is available? And then I can maybe help you. But I tell you that my lemon poppy seed dressing does not require vinegar. It requires lemon juice, which you can get pretty much in every country. And that's my go-to salad dressing now, only because it's a lot easier to make than the Barefoot, and it's really cheap to make. And like I said, I'm going to shoot a video for that real soon. All right. Yeah, Dina, I can't answer that question. That's a really scientific one. If you're in Feel Fabulous, that is one that we can ask to the doctors, because like Mark Hellerberg could answer that. Goldhammer can answer that. I mean, I kind of know the answer, but I'm like, that's beyond my pay grade here. All right. So best air fryer, Breville, baby, Breville. So let me tell you, God, I feel like if I announce the guest, I almost am going to jinx it, because I announced the guest yesterday on Dr. Lyle, and he had to cancel, or not cancel, but reschedule, which I guess is canceling. It's supposed to be Dr. Hans Deal, but he has not responded to his text or his email. So Anyway, so that's that. And then we're supposed to have Jessica Krant. She was back by popular demand, the dermatologist, on Friday, and a cooking demo on Thursday. So just know that 11 a.m. is the time. Sometimes we go start a few minutes early, but the time is 11, except for on June 15th when we have Dr. Greg Fitzgerald, because it's Australia, we have to accommodate him. So thank you so much for coming to the live broadcast. I appreciate you watching them. I appreciate you sharing them. And again, always feel free to email us in a question, because if I miss it on the chat or I don't answer it this time, we do save them. So thanks so much. If you're in Feel Fabulous, tomorrow is Dr. Doug Lisle. There's still time to join today, so have a private session with him and get your questions answered. So thanks so much. And how do I end this? Okay, take care. And let's see. This was fun. It's a nice, fun little chat. Maybe I can do it again, especially if somebody cancels. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Be safe.